So, effect of light on animals. In the last class, we have studied the effect of light on plants. So, how the plants are affected by light, that is, their photosynthesis, their chloroplast distribution, and various development of flower, fruits. All these are dependent on light that we have seen in the last class. Here we shall study what is the effect of light on animals. So how the animals get affected by light. So first of all, as we have studied that light is nothing but a certain electromagnetic spectrum. That is, light is a form of energy. So as light is a form of energy, so when the light traverses into the protoplasm, so when the light inserts into the protoplasm means the cell, then the excitation of molecules takes place. Okay, so what I have told, that this light is a form of energy, and this light when inserts into the protoplasm, it causes the excitation of molecules within the protoplasm. For example, there are various molecules. So in the first year classes we have studied there are various types of minerals, there are various types of elements present within the protoplasm of the cell. So these all molecules or all elements, or let it be an organic molecule like carbohydrates, proteins, all these are affected by this light. So our inner organs, the organs that are present inside the body, so there is a great problem, what, that the protoplasm get affected. So to stop this effect, so there is a body covering. So body covering is present. So this body covering or the skin, which we say the skin, it prevents the light to enter inside the body to the organs. Okay, so the light for this light not to penetrate, or prevent this prevention of light to penetrate within the body, there is a presence of tough body covering, that is the skin, in us or in other animals. Okay, so this is the thing. Next, light affects metabolism. So light also affects the metabolism. Metabolism means the reactions that takes place within the body. So this light also affects the metabolism. So you can see, if light intensity is high, then metabolism is also high, that is directly proportional. So you can see here, if light intensity is high, then the metabolism or the reactions within the body is also high. Why? Because light is a form of energy, and this form of energy excites the molecules, and as a result of which the metabolism also become high, which is directly proportional. Next, light affects the body coloration. So light affects the body coloration. So the body coloration is due to pigments. For example, in us there is a melanin pigment. So this pigmentation increases. So when the intensity of light is high, the pigmentation also increases. For example, let us compare two animals, two types of animals. One type of animal is the cave animal and another is us. So in case of cave animal, within the cave there is no light. So the animals their maximum is albino. Albino means without any body coloration. But in us there is a body coloration. For what? To prevent the harmful radiations from the sun to enter into the body. Okay, so for example, in our skin there is a melanin pigmentation. There are various types of cells. These cells are known as melanocytes. These melanocyte get excited. I think I have make you study. I have done your studies in hormones. There was a hormone. If you can remember from your first year classes, melanocyte stimulating hormone. These melanocyte stimulating hormone are present in the pituitary glands, and this hormone excites the melanocytes, that is the melanin secreting glands or the cells, to secrete the melanin pigment. And if this pigmentation is high, then the body coloration is also high. For example, in case of some humans that are present, some men that are present in the Jammu and Kashmir, and if you compare with them with the someone with the south people, this south corner of India, this is present in the near about to the equator, more nearer to the equator as compared to the Jammu and Kashmir people. So if they are nearer to the equator, then what is the case? There is presence of more light, more sunlight, so therefore their coloration is also high. That's the thing. So okay, so you have to remember this with the cave animals. Example is the cave animal and our organisms. That the cave there is no light, there is no pigmentation. Outside the cave there is light, there is pigmentation. Okay. Next, in case of movement, light affects the movement. For example, this is movement is known as phototaxis. So when light affects the movement, that is known as the phototaxis. Photo means light, taxis means movement. So some organisms, if you see, some organisms moves towards light. For example, euglena. In the first year classes, I have told you in case of euglena, one organelle is present, that is known as the eye spot. This is reddish in color, eye spot. So this eye spot helps to detect that in which direction the light is present, and this euglena will move towards the direction. That is the case, that some organisms moves towards light. It will move towards light, means in which direction light is there, it will move towards that side. That is in case of euglena. This is known as positively phototropic. Positively phototactic. phototactic, and some organisms moves away from light. For example, earthworm. These are negatively phototactic. So what is the case? Some organisms, they move away from the light. Means in which direction light is there, they will move away from that. This is known as the the negatively phototactic. They will move opposite direction to the light. If you see in case of earthworm, what you will see, it lives in the burrows made in the soil. So the soil is opposite to the light, so it will move opposite to the light. So that is the case. So light also affects the movement of certain organisms. Next, reproduction. Light affects the reproduction. So here what is the case? That is, sometimes you can see in animals the gonads mature during summer or winter. This thing can be seen. So in the summer the light intensity is high, in the winter the light intensity is low. The organisms, some organisms or some animals, their gonads or the reproductive organs, they may get matured during the summer when the light intensity is high, or during the winter when the light intensity is low. This can be seen in animals. Next, development is also affected by light. So the animal development is also affected by light. Development means how it develops from a young organism to a adult form. This development is also affected by light. So here we can see, I can take the example of salmon. I think you are familiar with this name, salmon. Salmon is a fish. Okay. So this salmon, in case of salmon, what happens? When light intensity increases, then development is high. It gets highly developed in case of salmon. What I have told, that in case of salmon, a fish, what happens? When light intensity increases, then the development is also very high. It develops in a high patterns. Next example is Mytilus. I think you have heard the name Mytilus in your first year classes. Mytilus falls in the category that is the mollusca. It falls into mollusca. So Mytilus, in case of Mytilus, what happens? If light intensity increases, then the development ceases. This is the case. So what I have told, light also affects the development. That means the development from the young ones to the adult form is also affected by the light. How? In case of salmon, what I have seen, that the light intensity get increased, then the development is also very high. But in case of Mytilus, if the light intensity get increased, then the development ceases, the development stops. So that is the case. So this is the effect, these are all the effect of light on animals. Next we shall see, that is the soil. Next abiotic factor, that is the soil. So what is soil? Soil is another abiotic factor, that is, it is the upper weathered part of the earth containing the humus. Okay, so this definition you have to know first the meanings. What? That is the upper. If this is the earth, then the upper withered crust or the earth crust, what we have told, this earth crust, see in this earth crust which part? That is the upper withered part. Withered part means which get changed. For example, there is a wind, the withered part is moved away. If there is a water flow, then the withered part is get washed away. So this upper part of the earth that contains the humus. Humus means various organic molecules. Okay, so the various organic molecules which helps in the growth of the certain plants. So that part is known as the soil. Next, this soil is very important abiotic factor, as we know in our first year classes that nitrogen fixation takes place in soil. So this particular nitrogen fixation which we have read in our first year classes, this takes place in the soil. If soil is absent, this nitrogen fixation cannot take place. Okay, so next, decomposition of various plants or various organisms takes place. So in the soil there is a decomposition of various organisms. For example, if an animal dies, it gets into the soil, then it gets decomposed. Decomposed means break down into smaller products. Next, if a plant dies, then also the decomposition or the breakdown process takes place in the soil. Next, if a microorganism also dies, then also the decomposition takes place in the soil. So all this decomposition takes place in the soil, as a result of which what happens? The organic molecules from organisms body is released. So the organic molecules present in the organism's body is released by this process. So this is the effect of soil, and all these activities, that is the nitrogen fixation, decomposition or organic molecule degradation, all these affects our ecosystem or all these affects our environment. So this is the thing, that the soil has a huge effect on plants and animals. If nitrogen fixation do not take place, then the plant cannot get the nitrogen sources. If the decomposition cannot take place, then without decomposition the organic molecules are not released into the environment. So that is the thing. So all these activities takes place in the soil. So these are the abiotic factors which we have studied. First we have studied the temperature, then we have studied the water, so next the light, and finally the soil. So these are the abiotic factors or the non-living factors. So next class we shall study that how these abiotic factors affect the animal's life, okay, or animal's life or plant's life, how these are affected by these abiotic factors. So what are the responses to these abiotic factors?